All right, the last video, I explained how to get this monster out of the case, and it is a monster. I looked it up. It's 40 pounds, and this is rust. This is like mildew rust. I don't know if it's showing up good on the camera. Oh yes, I cut my nails. There you go. Look at that. The thing with the nails is, I will. I know I have to cut them, but when I have a radio I'm working on, or even doing housework, I have to focus in on what I'm doing, and I focus so hard that I sort of forget what I'm not. I forget the things that you guys would stop and say, "Oh, I got to cut my nails," and you would stop. I don't stop. I continue to work on what I'm working on, and I might put it down for 3 or 4 minutes, and I sit and I think about it. But I'm not thinking about, "Oh, this is a good time to cut my nails." No, I'm sitting down thinking, like this thing here. I have the two screws here. This is kind of wonky looking with that white. They call it white rust. It's like mildew and rust. I think it's a piece of aluminum. It turns that white. And I have this all loosened up. So on the other end, back this way, uh, I can get my right angle screwdriver down on that the two screws that hold the tuning capacitor for the trim. It's a little tiny cap. I'll show you when I get it out. But it does, as you turn it, it does short out. Now, it could be the fins or the plates on the capacitor they're touching. It also could be you get on silver plated parts, they get black, and that's oxide, silver oxide. And as the capacitor goes around, that could be causing the short. Now, I could spend maybe an hour topside trying to get that tuning capacitor right. But I know from experience, I told you I own three NC57s, and I scrapped one out. So I had four of them, and all of them have the same trim cap for the antenna, and all four needed work. But I was able to do it. This thing is buried down in the top, and I have to be able to get it out in order to work on it, and I go double check it and put it back in. And there's some really weird things when you buy something on eBay. You see stuff and you're like, what the hell's going on there? This definitely had some type of water problem. Let me see if I get it in the frame here. If you look at this shaft here, hold on. I don't know. Let me look at it at the computer. Let me focus it. You see that green on that shaft? That shaft is brass, and that's rust. There's also rust way in the back. So I'll be cleaning all that up. But the only way you can work on this radio is to take it out of the case. And I gave you all the tricks because, I was very chicken shit when I was doing it because everybody made like, here, you just slide out. No, if you don't take the dial clamps, and I can show you the dial guides. All right, now that I have this thing off. All right, here's a dial guide. And it sits up in the case. Let's get it. Sits up in the case. All right, just like that. So if you pull this chassis out without removing these two, there's two of them, you could cause these to get a crack in them. And I knew right away. As I'm digging, I'm like, why am I having so much trouble? Why? And then I went looking, and there's a real good website on this radio. You'll find it right away. He has both the NC 173s and a 183 that he rebuilt, and he does a comparison. He did a great job. What I'm doing is showing you how to take it apart, what to expect. I'm doing it different than him. See, that's what I do. I look at what everybody else has done, and then I try to add something to the mix instead of, sitting there like the guy with the big lab, sitting there stroking the radio, turning the knobs back and forth, telling you what they do. You should know that. If you're a shortwave guy, you should know what each knob does. But that's the easy way to make content. Borrow a radio from somebody, sit down in front of it, read up on it real quick, and then regurgitate what you read instead of actually going in on this. Now, over here, there's another shaft here that's kind of rusty looking. So something spilled into this radio at one point, and that's what you get on eBay. That's what I'm telling you. And this could be a dealer radio. It didn't seem like it. It seemed like the guy is selling stuff off. You know, maybe this was his father's or his uncle's, or he bought this at a yard sale and he's just flipping it. But the difference between an NC57 and this model, which is an NC173, is the insides, all the parts are better quality. The tuning cap is better, so you get better accuracy on the dial. It's got this selectivity control, so you can make the radio more narrow. So if you got two stations next to each other, you go narrow, and then you only hear the station you want to hear. As far as CW, and this has a BFO in it. It doesn't have a product detector, but in other words, that was the big feature. Plus, this thing's built like a tank. The NC57 was maybe 2 years younger than this, and they cut some corners. But it's still a really good radio. But I bought this, like I always tell you, to stay busy. And I was looking at all the radios, and I said, you know, let me get another National. I do like this radio, but I am having trouble getting, you know, I can't pull this out because it's hitting the dials. Now I could take the dials off, but then I break my calibrations. So this allows the back end shaft to come off the tuning cap, and then it gives me room to get my right angle screwdriver. So funny. Harbor Freight don't have anything like this. They have a set that does this kind. You've probably seen these. This won't go in there. But I went looking, and I'm like, Walmart? I went over to Walmart, and it's $1.85 for two of these, two different sizes. So as I'm walking home, I'm laughing. Walmart has expanded. It's gotten bigger inside. But I'm thinking, they carry something like this. And Harbor Freight don't have it. And I always go online first and check Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight can be really disappointing. They did have these. These are regular technician cutters, side cutters. You know, I have the old-fashioned kind, like these. But I prefer these now. These get into tighter places. They're much sharper. When they're not sharp, I think they were $7, $6 a pair. And there is a $21 pair that's better. And I have a pair of these, similar to these, real well made for cutting my toenails. Someone in the comments section mentioned about my nails. Yes, my toenails are, I let them, they get a little longer, but because I do so much walking, I have to keep them cut. And when you get older, you have trouble reaching your toes. And I lost some weight, so I can get down here, but you have to twist your legs in order to cut the toenails. And you'll feel when you're older, you feel your knee and hip starting to hurt. Because I'm 72. I'm right in the zone that maybe a knee might need to be replaced. I blew it out a week ago. Every day I went walking really far. And then the knee started swelling up and it was hurting. So I cut my walks. I still walk. I cut my walks back to going to Walmart, going to the dollar store, and then a little walk in the afternoon. And then the swelling went down in the knee, and now it's good. And the other night I rolled over. The right knee was hurting me. It's hilarious when you get older. But as far as the nails, I know it freaks people out, but I don't paint them. There is a guy, I can't watch his video because he paints his nails. I think Penn and Teller, whichever one's the chubbier one, he paints his nails. Certain things freak me out. I do understand what you're saying, but you have to realize I'm zeroed in on doing a video just to stay busy, and I have the radio to stay busy, but I don't want to I don't want to do what everybody else does. You know, they get one of these radios and they don't warn you about anything. And I sort of, you know, like I'm telling you that little antenna trimming cap, it goes bad in almost all the nationals. And then the other thing I told you once before, if somebody said, yeah, it happened with them. Let me think for a second. It's the BFO. The BFO, and this one's a little bit different, but the BFO that's on a national, NC57, the three capacitors go bad. And I don't know if they get moisture in them or what, but they're bad. And then on the groups, they're telling the guy, change the tube. He's got a shorted turn in the coil. No, it's those three capacitors. I've seen where one of them was good. Like I said, I have four in my possession. I had in my possession four NC57s. I only have three now. One, I just threw it out. It was the early model, and the coils were a single tube, or yeah, cylinder, had like three bands on it. It was really bogus, and there was no trimmers, capacitors for each band. So you could, what you do is when you have the proper coil, the coil has a slug in it. You tune for the bottom of the band on a station, and then you go up and tune, you tune the slug for the bottom, and when you go to the high end, you tune the cap. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and if the radio is designed right and the calibration of the dial is correct, not a cheap radio, the whole band will be in. That's how you do it. You go back and forth, high to low, and I use a station to do it. You could use an alignment generator. I use the station itself, and then you check in between, and you'll notice the other stations will be right on. And then when you're doing the shortwave, you use CHU Canada. I think it's 3.33 megacycles, and then 7 something megacycles, and then WWV is at 5, 10, 15, 20, I believe 25. But there's only certain times of the day each one of those frequencies will really work well. But that's what I use. I use the minimum amount. I tell you, I actually fixed the problem. And that's it. A lot of people, you know, they bodge these things, and I get real nervous when I saw this. Let me show you this real quick. See that screw? This regular screw here? Hey, my nails are cut. All right. Then I saw on the remove my special light. All right. I saw that. Let me see if it's in the frame. Back here, I saw that. Instead of having two of these, and only have one. That's correct. I was like, oh, what did he do to this thing? But in other words, my videos are to add to what other people have done. You know, some people have done some really good jobs. They have an internet page. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. You know, how long YouTube's going to be around. And I have friends that say anytime they try to do anything, they immediately go on YouTube and look at it. Watch somebody actually do it. Then they give it a shot. I think that's it. All right, that's it. He cut his nails. He cut his nails.